Hey Taters, what's up? This is Tree from treeoflogic.com. So I want to address a question I am constantly asked a lot. Being that I'm a very tall woman, I'm asked, hey, do you date short men? And the question is, yeah. Listen, as a tall woman, abnormally tall woman, if I was to restrict myself to just men my height and taller, I would have spent most of my years lonely. And I also want to talk about the difference from a tall woman's perspective, a point of view. The difference I've noticed with shorter men and tall men. But let me just get on to the answer and then I'll go ahead and talk about the difference I've noticed between the short men and tall men. Now, as a tall woman, initially, I have to say in my uncomfortable years, like when I was allowed to date, all of my boyfriends were my height or taller. And I think coming from Washington, D.C., I don't know what it is. It's something about the North, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. It's filled with tall people. But as I came down to the South, not so much. But anyway, my high school boyfriends, tall. I think the first year or two in my college years, tall. Yeah, I'm trying to figure, and I think during my junior year is when I started to date men that were like, I think the shortest was 5'11" or 5'10", maybe 5'11", I think. Now, the shortest man I have ever dated was 5'7" or 5'8". I think it was maybe 5'7.5" or 5'8". And it was a Marine. Actually, I told you guys about this brother a lot, right? When he first came up to me, I think we were at TGF Fridays down in downtown Atlanta, known in the Underground. It's no longer there anymore. But TGIF Fridays is a place, it's a daiquiri bar. And you go there to just, listen to music and just drink. And I remember this guy, and I was sitting in my chair, and apparently he'd been eyeing me the whole time. And he knew I was extremely tall. But that didn't stop him. He had confidence. He had charisma. He was very charismatic. He was funny. He was so funny. And I rejected him so many times until I basically had to take him upon an offer where he was like, well, how about you hungry? You hungry? I know you hungry. Listen, no strings attached. Let's go get something to eat. And, we just go from there. If you don't want to hang around with me anymore after that, then, no love lost. And I was like, okay. And I took him upon his offer. And next thing you know, we were in a relationship. So, it was great. You would have never thought that I would date someone who's that much shorter than me. But here's the thing. A lot of times it's just, I think in my youth, I was insecure about being tall, where now, or maybe after I graduated from my alma mater, that's when I began to be more confident, like really confident around men as being tall. Cause all of my female friends were short. I never had a tall female friend, until I became an adult later in my years. But all my friends back then were shorter. Now, the difference I've noticed between shorter men and tall men, because I never had a problem finding tall men, I just have to admit that I was pursued by men who were shorter than me. But I did know that there's a difference between the shorter men and the tall men. The shorter men were more successful, more confident, charismatic. There was more funny, outgoing, social, and actually, ready for this? More alpha or dominant, however you want to say it. They were more alpha and more dominant. And the taller men, not so much. They were more submissive, more quiet. They were not aggressive, really. they were very easily intimidated, not necessarily by me, but by life in general. If anybody or any situation challenged them, they were easy to buckle. They were easy to run away scared, which was really discouraging. But I'm saying hashtag not all, because the tall men I've dated, they were not that way. But I have had some tall men who I was either introduced to by their short male friends because they were too scared to come and talk to me, or a friend set us up. I have rarely been approached by a tall man. Now, here's the difference why. Here's the reason why, not the difference. Here's the reason why. Tall men are given the world by assumption. They're thinking that because they're tall, they're automatically thought to protect themselves. They're automatically thought to be given the throne of king and alpha. People automatically assume that these men are aggressive. They are go-getters. They're not. I must admit that society automatically assumes that tall men are the best species, and maybe they're right to a certain degree as far as height is concerned, if that height is accompanied by strength. Okay, it's no need for you. What's the point of you being tall and you're weak? Why? You're just a skinny tree. But the thing about it is that I rarely had a shorter man send his friend to come ask me to join him at the table, or I always found that to be a very weak thing to do. And I never had a respect for any man who sent his friend to come in and talk to me and see if I'm available to speak on behalf of his other friend. That's a coward. And I don't deal with cowards. I never dealt with cowards. I'm not attracted to them. I never have been. So therefore that was something, but I've never ever had a shorter man send his friend to see if I'm single, to see if I'm interested in him. It was always a short guy who came over. And it was one particular situation where a tall guy sent one of his buddies to come and see if I was single and if I wanted to dance. And I end up liking the guy he sent to me. He was like, yo, my boy over there, want to know if you single, he like you. And I was like, and I looked at him, and the tall guy was attractive, but I was like, but what about you? I was like, are you single? And he was like, no, I can't do that to my boy. And, the bro code was more strong, was more stronger. And I lost out on that one, but I wasn't interested. I wanted him. I didn't want his buddy. That was a weak thing to do. Men who are shorter, who are presumed to be short according to American standards or society standards, they have to fight to get what they want. So you're going to find that many of them, hashtag not all, hell, not even probably hashtag not 70%. But I will have to say that what I've noticed is that shorter men they go for what they want. Not all the time, please, because I don't want nobody going into the comment section saying, I know a short guy and he was a simp. I'm not talking about all. I'm talking about from my perspective as a tall woman. These shorter men I have dated, they all were alphas. They all were aggressive. They all were go-getters, and they all were successful businessmen. All of them were successful. They know how to dress. They were great men. And I never had a dull moment with any of them. And so you have to ask yourself, like, one of the dates, which was the shortest date I can think of, like relationships, not dates, relationships, was 6 months. And that was with the shortest guy I have ever dated. So you have to ask yourself, like, these guys are go-getters. These guys see what they want, because society has told us that because you're short, you're lesser than. Because you're short, you're inferior. For men, not for women. For men, society has told them that if you are, in the fives at all, that you're not sexually desirable to women, that women don't want a short guy, and some women don't. But for a tall woman, and I'm basically also talking to tall women also who already know this, I think tall women finally get an understanding that we can't be that picky being abnormally tall. We can't sit up here and say, I only want tall men. No. We'll be lonely, for real. But the thing about it is I had to grow into that mindset, which was very early in my age. I think I grew in that mindset probably when I became 20 or 21. I realized, don't limit yourself to just your height. I am also an advocate of not limiting yourself to any height, at all when you're a tall woman. Okay. I know you may feel awkward, but I don't feel awkward with someone who's shorter than me because they don't feel awkward. Now, I have to admit, in the beginning, it took some time to get used to, but because they had the confidence, okay, that confidence rolled with me. They were proud to have a tall woman on their arm. They was proud. And here's the thing. I told you guys about that salsa dancing. Remember, me and my female friend were outside of a salsa club. We had no intentions of going inside the club, but we was just dancing on the outside. And two Latino men came and grabbed us and brought us into the club. Well, they were short. And I felt like, oh my God, I don't want to dance with this guy. He down there. But he didn't care. He grabbed me regardless. He grabbed my arm, put my other arm around his shoulders, and he handled his business, boo. I mean, it was the most pleasantly surprising, actually, experience. One of the most pleasantly surprising experience I have ever had. But like I said, these are shorter men. These men were go-getters. They saw two very attractive women out there and they was like, we're going to get these. And they came in and they got us. And it was just fun. And we had so much fun. These guys are short. And I didn't feel awkward dancing on a dance floor. I'm the tallest one there. I'm the tallest one there in the entire club. And I'm having a great time with a guy who's shorter than me. I didn't feel awkward at all. Because he didn't. And a lot of times as tall women, we tend to vibe off of other men's vibe. If the other guy feels insecure, if he feels like, oh my God, I don't feel confident being out with this woman. Is everybody looking at us? That's going to rub off on me. That's going to rub off on any woman. Okay. If you don't feel right about who you're dating with or who you're being seen out in public with, that's going to show, and she's going to have a complex about it. But the men that I with, they had no problem with it. They liked it. They enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it too. So yeah, the answer is yes. I don't discriminate against men who are shorter than me. You know what I'm saying? I had, like I said, my best date ever, the best relationship I have to say to this day I have ever been in is with someone who was 5'7.5" or 5'7" or 5'8", you know what I'm saying? Way shorter than me, but he was great. He was a great relationship. And I think to this day that if he didn't have to get deployed to Guam, I probably would have married him. I definitely would have married him, because we were so compatible. But we knew that long distance relationship was not going to work. And I had no intentions on leaving America to go to Guam. Nope, wasn't going to happen. So there you have it. And, I'm sure somebody like that, he was such a good man. I'm sure someone snatched him up. I'd be surprised if he was still single to this day. I'd be surprised. He was just that good. But that's the thing. So it's like, you have to understand there's a difference. And like I said, I don't want the tall men to sit up here and say, I ain't no bitch. I ain't no submissive. I am not saying all. I'm just saying that from my experience, I have seen more confident, more aggressive, more alpha men who had their act together, go-getters, and successful businessmen who were shorter than me that I dated versus the tall ones. And I have encountered like I said, tall men. I've never had a short man send over his boy to come and ask if I wanted to dance or if I wanted to talk to him and stuff like that. That's just, ugh. But I don't think I don't think that the millennials and the Generation Z have to worry about that anymore, because the club scene is down, the social scenes are down. People are not meeting out in public anymore like they used to in those environments, in those arenas. And I think that's something that's just not the issue anymore, because now you have the online culture where you can have Facebook, you can have Twitter, and you get to see these people's faces and basically contact them there. And I think it's for those individuals who are insecure, who do feel some kind of way about approaching a woman, it's easier to do it online behind the security of your monitor versus in person, where men are known to basically have to approach a woman. Also, I have to admit that another reason probably why the tall men are not as aggressive is because women pursue them. Women love, from the most part, and I'm only going by my female friends, they go for these tall guys, okay? Because these tall guys are assumed to have the best package. You can take that any kind of way you want, but they just assume to have the overall package, and so they pursue them. So these guys are kind of lazy in their prowl. No, what am I saying? Prowl? No, I would not say prowl. Pursuit. They are lazy in their pursuit after women, because women are constantly coming to them because of their height. But this kind of like spoils the guy, and then he's just no good. And then you end up realizing you just dated a tall, worthless, whatever. Anyway, so that is my answer to the question, have I ever dated a guy that's shorter than me? Yes, I have. And I don't discriminate. I think the guy, I'm to the point where, and I think I've been this way for a while, I'm looking at the guy as a whole. Okay. Now, of course, he can't be too short. That's just crazy. It's not going to work, but there is a height cutoff. But as someone who's over 6 feet tall, I definitely don't sit up here and say that another man has to be over 6 feet tall to date me. That's just ludicrous. That's crazy. And I just don't subscribe to it. But what say you guys? Tell me, have you dated somebody taller or shorter than you? If you're a tall guy, do you only go for short women? Have you dated tall women? What was that relationship like? Those of you who are shorter men by society standards, have you dated a taller woman? And what was that relationship like? I would love to hear from you. Also, how does society treat you? Do you think you're more confident because of your height? Because like I said, I've noticed shorter men have always been more confident, more go-getters, more successful than the tall men, you know what I'm saying? So that's something I have noticed as a tall woman. But hey, if you're against the norm, if you're the outlier, I would love to hear from you. Let me know. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next time. Later, taters.